children. Infants and toddlers are bearing the brunt of this war in Israel and in Gaza. So today let's focus on children who have nothing to do with this war, and they are the ones who are facing the biggest horror in this bloody conflict. Spare a thought for these Israeli children who are still in Hamas captivity in Gaza. More than 11 days on, fate of these kids remains unknown. I cannot stop thinking about Shiri, a kindergarten teacher who was last seen crying, holding close to her chest her two little children, 3-year-old Ariel and 9-month-old Kafir, when Hamas extremists surrounded them and kidnapped them. Nobody knows where they are presently. 5-year-old Raz and 3-year-old Aviva Sher were playing in their house, like most kids do, when Hamas terrorists took them captive with their mother, Duron. A video later emerged of them being loaded onto a truck with other hostages. The husband, Yoni Asher, traced the wife's mobile phone to Gaza's Khan Yunis neighborhood, a residential area where clearly it now means that Hamas is keeping civilians as hostages in those areas. A viral video showed 12-year-old boy Erez being pulled away by the Hamas from his residence in Kibbutz Nir Oz. The family is unaware of his whereabouts too.
Unfortunately, I have no concrete new information about my family, and I don't know if I will have I don't know when I will have new information about them, and that's quite a nightmare.
More than 15 at least are children. Many more are missing. If you are a parent, if you have a child in your house, remember if they're kidnapped by terrorists and you just don't know about their status anymore. And if you have the audacity to ask about at this point, where is the evidence? Well, Hamas delivered it to your mobile phones. From an Israeli house that was attacked, Hamas released this video, carefully edited. Sitting in the backyard of that same family, one extremist holding an assault rifle in one hand and an injured toddler in another. A crying infant is seen in the stroller surrounded by the Hamas gunmen. Identities of these children are unknown and they continue to be in captivity. And it is not hard to notice, where are the parents? Presumably killed, and their children, these babies, are now held hostage. I was shocked to see that the little boy was directed to say some words before he was allowed to even drink a glass of water by these Hamas gunmen.
بعدين drink يلا say بسم الله يلا drink.
Hamas has now released another video. It's of a young woman being given medical aid in captivity. And she clearly looks like she's speaking under duress. Can you believe that these videos are possibly to show how humane these extremists are? Who in the right mind will call this humane after the massacre that was inflicted in southern Israel? A group of Israelis have managed to project images of the hostages at the site of the United Nations headquarters in New York, demanding release of their loved ones with messages like, "Bring them home now. Abducting civilians is a crime against humanity and Hamas is ISIS." Celebrities are also speaking up. Israeli actress Gal Gadot, known for her role in Wonder Woman, is constantly using her social media platform to share images of abducted children and asking the world to raise awareness, raise your voice to bring these hostages back. And now, author J.K. Rowling has also appealed with regard to a hostage child who's dressed as Harry Potter in one of the happier days. Appealing for the release of these children, she adds, and I quote it here, "Kidnapping children is despicable and wholly unjustifiable. May Noah and all other hostages taken by Hamas be returned soon safely to their families." As per United Nations Declaration on the Protection of Women and Children in Emergency and Armed Conflict says, attacks on the civilian population inflicting incalculable suffering, especially on women and children, the most vulnerable members, shall be prohibited and such acts will be condemned. The terror attack against civilians, that barbarism has shown that Hamas flouted all norms and continued to keep many children as hostages. My solidarity with the families, and they should know that they're not alone at this time of grief. And as the war rages on between Israel and Hamas, this responsibility is also on Israel. Israel is claiming that they are targeting simply the terror hideouts. But the evidence coming in also shows that many children have died and are clearly injured too in Gaza. Doctors are running out of space to treat the injured. And worse, there are reports showing that space for the dead is now reducing. There is a deadline to evacuate from the areas and go to safer shelters. And we have seen that that is not easy either. Videos are surfacing from Gaza that BBC Verify here has confirmed that the strike occurred on Salaluddin Street, which is one of the two evacuation routes from northern Gaza to the south. The Palestinian Health Ministry said 70 people were killed at that scene. India Today's report on the ground in Gaza showed children with grievous injuries being brought out from ambulances as clearly their place of accommodation was targeted. This is heartbreaking. It cannot be justified at all. UNICEF is calling for an immediate ceasefire, as about 1 million people and nearly half of them children have been warned to move out from Gaza ahead of what is expected possibly to be a wide-scale military assault into one of the most densely populated areas on earth. Medics and volunteers on ground in Gaza say children and families have practically run out of clean water, food, electricity, medicine supplies and safe access to hospitals following days of hostilities and cut to the supplies. But worse, medics are also being targeted. First Minister of Scotland, Humza Yousaf, has shared a video of his mother-in-law in Gaza, a retired nurse, who says that they are trapped like many others and have nowhere to go.
This will be my last video. Everybody from Gaza is moving towards where we are. 1 million people, no food, no water. And still they're bombing them as they leave. Where are we going to put them? But my thought is, all these people in the hospital cannot be evacuated.
Homes and critical infrastructure lie in ruin. Many have taken shelter in schools or hospitals, but even schools are seen damaged in these attacks. Gaza's 2 main hospitals are already running out of fuel and overflowing with injured civilians. And they are being warned to move patients and staff south in just few hours. But remember, there are child patients on life support and it clearly will be unable to move at this hour. Israel is forcing Palestinians to leave their house. Hamas leaders are asking civilians to stay back because then Israel will likely not attack those areas and terror hideouts can be placed in these civilian neighborhoods too. But stuck in this chaos are Palestinians, innocent people who just want this war and madness to end. US President Joe Biden is visiting Israel now as a solidarity visit. Can the USA with an Arab state get together, act as mediators to at least get the children out, many of them orphaned now? How can powers in the West and the Middle East just sit back and watch while children suffer? You may be on any side of the divide this time, but remember, children are suffering in all of these, innocent little ones. What world are we leaving for them today? What memories are we giving to them of this grief and horror, of bombardments, captivity, massacres that they have witnessed? And that is if they manage to survive this at all. Stand up. Speak for the children, Israeli or Palestinian. Thank you for watching.